Hello and welcome to my clip. In this short clip, I'm going to summarize some essentials on networking and Linux. The Linux version I'm using is Linux Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 and CentOS 7. So the most basic command that we use most of the time is a command called IP. So if I go to my Red Hat machine, IP link show or IP add, they show the interfaces in that box. And if you look at each item, it starts with a number, so let's say the number of the device in the list, and then there is some sort of device name. There is some sort of convention for these names. It's explained in Red Hat. You can Google it. So basically EN for Ethernet, WL is for wireless LAN, and WW for wireless wide area network. And there are virtual network on my machine as well. So the virtual networks, and you've got this name of the device. It's this one is down, so this one is a wireless, and it's up. And then because I'm using NAT, it doesn't have the IP address. So if I go to my CentOS machine, on this one, IP add, I do have actually an IP address on my Ethernet. So this one doesn't have the wireless, it has the Ethernet, and you can see there is an IP address there, and that's the CEDAR format. Basically that means 24-bit. It's 255, 255, 255. So FF, that would be 24 bits and 0 at the end. So when you use IP command, you can show the configuration, the list of your devices, and it shows quite a bit of details. If you don't want that much details, so you can NMCLI, it's short for Network Manager CLI command line interface, and div status. That will show you a more brief version of that list, and it's only showing the connection. So if you see, the virtuals are all the virtuals are showing as well, but they are they're showing it. So let me just go back, and in MCLI div status, here I've got more virtual 1 and 0. So there's some sort of bonding, not bonding really, the bonding is a different thing. So there is a virtual bridge 0 and virtual bridge 1, so two of them, it's only one connection. That's actually one interface having two two instances. So nevertheless, it shows you the status of the interfaces. Now, if you want to bring up and down any of these interfaces, so let's check one of these here. You can use IP command to do this. IP link set and the device name up, IP link set and then the device name down. So no dot dot dot, just a device name. Here is the device name actually. So it should be the device name. There is no div there. Then you can bring up and down those links or devices. And over here, let's do link set in down. So the beauty of this command is it's a bash like. So if I do IP and then hit tab key, it gives me the options, which is the one I want to use is link. And then you can have the second option. So again, I hit the tab and then the device name, and then it gives me the tab. So I can say up, down, or I can have the promiscuous version, promiscuous mode on and up. I can set MTU number, and I can talk show ARP. Off and on. And etc. So let's just do it up and down. IP link show, and you can see it's down now. So to bring it up, I just say up. Now with the nmcli command also, I can do similar things. So and this one I just say connection, and this one also like IP. You can have you can hit the tab and it will give you the options. So tab, so it's very bash like. So it deactivates it. See, it's deactivated. And then now I can bring it up, and then status. Well, so these two commands are useful. IP command is used a lot. With the IP command, you can also set the address, and as I mentioned before, you can set the dev device MTU, promiscuous, ARP, etc. And if you are using DHCP, then basically at this moment DHCP is actually assigned an IP address. So if I do it, nothing much happens except that it's gonna do the same thing. I can say div enp0s3. Yeah. So so sometimes if you have if your client is not really working, you just run DH client, it sort of does the leasing again and gives you an IP address, and you can have the IP address assigned. An IP address, it shows you that IP address, which is this one for me. So these are the commands that you want to run to check the interfaces, bring them up, bring them down. Sometimes you want to look at the routing tables or the ARP table. So IP route gives you the routing table, and in the old times it was route netstat -r -rn in the numbered format. You had that there in the old times in the deprecated version. Now we have in IP route, or you can have with yeah, basically IP name or name, it stands for neighbor, I think. It just shows you the ARP version, ARP of like the MAC address versus IP address or the device, which used to be ARP, I think. Yeah, so ARP is on now, and one of the other commands that is interesting is SS command. It kind of replaces what netstat used to have. So my favorite is SS minus tuna for pay. So T stands for TCP/IP, U for UDP, A for all sockets, N for format, and 4 for IP4, and P for process ID. And that gives you the process ID that is listening or having that port. For example, let me just do a less on this one. And if I make it longer so we can see a better format. So like on TCP, we are listening. That's the IP address, the users, and that's the PID. So that's the receiving queue, sending queue, and local IP, local address and port. So that's what we are doing there. And the PID is 1404. So PS minus EF grep 1404, and that's DNS, and the IP address, I think it belongs to my virtual machine, my KVM. So that's one interesting one. And you can go to a directory called etc sysconfig network script, and there are scripts over there for bringing up and bringing down the network interfaces. Best not to edit them, but you can have a look around and see what they are doing, especially if you have an interest in bash scripting like I did, and you can check what they are doing. And there are also CFGs, like for example for your interface, my Ethernet interface. This is the configuration file, and that's the device name, and on boot it's connected. So if it was yes, no, then that means it's not connected. You can also, if you have problems, you can also status the network services. So for example, if I go and in my setting, if I go and get the virtual cable disconnected, so and then restart my network, it should give an error. Restart. So it's not working, because obviously now I know why. Somebody maybe kicked the cable out, but here I did it with the virtual switch. So if I go to journal CTL, and what's the time? The time is 16:21 now. So if I go, the first message starts from then, and then I can see this message that says NIC is down. So basically it's done. So I go and investigate and find out, okay, that's the cable is tripped off, and now it's back on. So if I restart it, it will be good. And you can see this came up as well. So nm CLI dev status